Now we'll talk about the external factors which affect the rate of photosynthesis. And first is light. Second is carbon dioxide concentration. Third is temperature. And fourth is water content. But before we go any deeper into how these factors affect the rate of photosynthesis, we need to understand a very important law known as Blackman's law of limiting factors. Now, as the name says, this law was proposed by a botanist, Blackman. And what does this law say? It says that if a process is controlled by many factors, just like photosynthesis is controlled by many factors, that is light, CO2 concentration, temperature and water content. So Blackman said that if a process is controlled by many factors, then the rate of that process will depend upon the factor which is in least supply or which is present in limited quantity or limited amount. Let's take an example to understand this. Let's take an example of light. So first factor basically is what? Light intensity. Intensity of light. So when we increase the intensity of light, the rate of photosynthesis increases. But it will increase only for some time and then it will become stable. See in your book, a graph has been shown here. This is the graph which shows a rise in rate of photosynthesis upon increasing the light intensity. But you will see the graph becomes stable here. Rate of photosynthesis is stabilized. Why? Because carbon dioxide must be present in the atmosphere in a limited amount. Remember, Blackman said that if a process is depending on more factors, then the factor which is in least amount will affect the process. So first you were increasing light intensity, photosynthesis also increased. But then what became limiting factor or in little amount? Carbon dioxide concentration. So rate of photosynthesis stabilized. Now if you want to increase the rate of photosynthesis, you need to increase carbon dioxide percentage from 0.02 to 0.03 to 0.04 and maybe even 0.05. You will again find a rise in the graph. Here you are seeing now with increase in light intensity, what is happening? If you have increased carbon dioxide concentration, then rate of photosynthesis will continue to rise. So you cannot say that one factor individually will affect the rate. So it is right to say that light and carbon dioxide concentration, the rate of photosynthesis is directly dependent on them. But again, if one of these factors or any other factor like light, like temperature, like water content is limiting, the process will stop. That is why in your book, the two factors are explained together. And this is how you explain. Or you can split it and explain. Light intensity, you may write an increase in light intensity increases the rate of photosynthesis. However, this will only happen for some time and then the rate becomes stable because any other factor becomes limiting. Maybe CO2, maybe temperature, maybe water, anything has become limiting. Now if that limiting factor will be increased, rate of photosynthesis will increase further with increase in light intensity. Likewise, you can write for carbon dioxide concentration. Now you all know CO2 concentration in the atmosphere is 0.03 to 0.04%. So carbon dioxide is called a natural limiting factor. This is often asked in the exams, that name a natural limiting factor. So in nature CO2 is less. 0.03 to 0.04 is less for photosynthesis to occur, and if we may increase it to 0.05, it is beneficial for photosynthesis. We are already doing the needful by cutting the trees, by running so many vehicles on the roads. We have already done the needful. So plants are getting their CO2. At the same time, CO2 is a greenhouse gas and can be very damaging to everybody, to life on this earth. So that doesn't mean nature has designed CO2 to be a limiting factor, because nature wants everything to occur in a controlled manner. Just like 21% of the atmosphere is oxygen, whereas remaining is nitrogen, and nitrogen has no role in combustion. It is diluting the effectivity of oxygen so that uncontrolled combustion doesn't occur. Same way, carbon dioxide's percentage 0.03 to 0.04 is a natural limiting factor to limit the process, and if we increase it to 0.05, it will show a steep rise in the rate of photosynthesis. But too much of CO2 causes stomatal closure and adversely affects the rate of photosynthesis. Same way, too much of light intensity is also bad for the rate of photosynthesis, because too much light intensity would cause solarization, that is burning of cells or destroy the cells. It would raise the temperature of the leaf and burn it. So I hope light intensity and carbon dioxide concentration is clear to you. And